Hi, good morning, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope all of you would be absolutely fit and fine, safe and healthy. Okay, so this is in continuation to my playlist, AWS Solution Architect. And in the previous videos, we have discussed about AWS cloud computing. What is cloud computing? And we have also discussed about AWS global infrastructure, right? Like what is the region, okay, what is the availability zone, what is the edge location, what is the edge caches itself, regional edge caches, okay. So all those points we have discussed in the previous videos, okay. And today we will talk about the core AWS services, okay. So let us move ahead. Okay, so these are the different kind of service categories, okay, which is being offered by AWS, okay. So AWS has multiple services falling in this kind of categories, like compute categories, storage categories for the storage services, database service it has, okay, analytics service, networking service, mobile services, developer tools, okay, different services for IoT development, security services, okay, for keeping the infrastructure safe, secure itself, different kind of management tools also. We AWS has like IAM for identity and access management, and different other kind of management tools are there. Okay, so services for the enterprise applications itself, notification services, okay, message queuing service, okay, and many more. So these are the primary service categories, okay, in which AWS offers multiple services, okay. So one by one we will understand about all of these service categories, okay. So majorly we can for if we are developing any kind of application or any big portal, okay, we can consider we need all of these kind of services. Like definitely we need the computing capacity, we need the storage itself, okay. For the data storage, okay, we would need the storage service. For storing the records, okay, business records, we would need the database itself, okay. In order to monitor the data, okay, and it's inside services inside itself, we need analytics services, okay. And networking services definitely we would require for the application, for hosting, DNS management, okay, domain mapping, okay. If we are going to develop the mobile applications for the business itself, then definitely we would need the lightweight database itself for the mobile user details, user profiles, and registration details storage, okay, and the developing for some backend API development for the mobile application itself, okay. And for IoT applications also, it has various kind of services that supports the device provisioning, collecting data from the devices, okay, monitoring the health of the devices itself, okay. So all these offerings are there. Security services, that is to keep the infrastructure, whether it is computing, storage, or database, safe and secure. It has uh, strong security services itself from AWS. Management tools are there, like IAM services itself. Okay, notification services for alerts communication. If we are developing the services in microservices pattern, okay, on different kind of distributed layer, in order to message communication between those different distributed layers of the application, message queuing service can play a very significant role. So there are many different kind of service categories in which AWS offers varieties of services, okay, that we are going to understand in coming videos in detail itself, one by one. Okay, so primarily these are the basic service categories, major service categories, okay, which in which AWS has a rich set of services itself, right? So the first service category, that is the compute services. Compute services offers a secure, scalable, and reliable compute capacity and cloud environment, which is used for making web hosting or app hosting easier for us. Okay. So within compute services, we can configure and provision the computing capacity on AWS cloud itself, right? Like if you have to configure the virtual machine, okay. So in that that will fall under the compute services itself, okay. So it enables us to control and manage the computing capacity on the cloud. It offers us flexible pricing model, that is pay per use, and can be provisioned quickly in the minutes. Okay. So with computing services, we can quickly configure the machines. Okay, we can quickly configure the virtual machines itself. Okay, or even if you don't want to go with the server based, okay, there are multiple serverless compute services itself where we can deploy our services quickly. Okay, and provision it on the AWS cloud in few minutes itself. Okay, and the pricing model for those compute services is also very much flexible. Like it is pay per use model. Okay, the AWS is going to charge us only for the time we are consuming the services. Okay, and our services are in use itself. Okay, so that is very flexible in terms of pricing, and also compute services offered are scalable also, right? When we have hosted any application on these services itself on our computing capacity, and if traffic on our application or the web or portal we have hosted on AWS keeps growing, okay, and the workload gets high, okay, in that case, the underlying resources of the computing resource which we have configured, that automatically scales up itself in order to handle the huge traffic, okay, or the growing traffic itself. And when the traffic comes down, the resources is automatically being scaled down. Okay, so the computing capacity we can configure on AWS in very reliable, scalable, and secure manner itself. Okay, so various kind of computing capacities, computing services are there on AWS. The first and primarily is the EC2 instance that is used to make the provision the virtual machine on AWS cloud itself. Okay, so let us understand what are the different compute services offered by AWS. The first one is EC2 machine, that is for elastic compute service. It is called, okay, and it is used to configure and provision the virtual machine on AWS cloud itself. Next one is the ECR, Elastic Container Registry itself, and ECS, Container Services. Okay, EKS for Elastic Kubernetes Services. Okay, so these services are for the if we are deploying the application on the containerized method. Okay, so this is the container registry. Okay, container service and Kubernetes service for the managing the containers itself. Okay, so if our application is based on the Docker or containers container base itself, then these are the compute services which we can make use of in that case. Okay, and Amazon EC2 is completely the creating the virtual machine itself. Okay, and any kind of virtual machine with the varying operating system like Unix, Windows, okay, Mac OS. Okay, so various kind of OS and various with various capacities itself, different kind of instances we can create. Okay, Amazon Lightsail is another service that is used to create a virtual private cloud, virtual private server very quickly. Okay, it is basically a pre-configured server where some required dependency and softwares are already pre-configured and installed. Okay, we only need to host our application on that server itself. Okay, and that will be quickly up and running. Okay, so that is also we will study about Amazon Lightsail. So let us understand for now that it is a pre-configured server where we don't have to install additional softwares. Okay, for like if we are developing a website in the WordPress. Okay, let us consider that way. So Lightsail offers to create a virtual private cloud very quickly, where all the dependency and the software requirement and on this server dependencies for running the WordPress application is already pre-configured. Okay, if you are developing an application that is running on SQL Express itself, okay, or the some specific database, then you can find a template to create the virtual private server for that nature itself. Okay, so Lightsail is a service that is used to provide us the pre-configured server for our application that can be configured quickly, and we can run our application itself. Further, AWS batch job, that is for the running the batch processing jobs itself. Okay, And AWS Elastic Beanstalk, that is for deploying our web application, API, REST API, and uh, websites itself, which is having a user interface, okay, and a REST API or even a microservices also we can deploy with AWS Elastic Beans. AWS Fargate is also a computing resource. It is not a kind of EC2 instance where we will get the access to remote desktop, but it also it is a kind of instance that that is being used and configured in the background, okay, and that is also depending upon the workload and the our requirement itself, okay. So that is about Fargate. AWS Lambda is further there. That is for serverless computing itself, where we don't need to have a complete server that is running throughout the day and 24 by 7. But we have certain requirements, certain workload, which is going to be scheduled or running on some specific date and time or some specific scheduled time itself. For that kind of requirement, we can go for AWS Lambda, that is a serverless computing itself. Okay. Then AWS serverless application repository, that is for maintaining the code base. Okay. If we are using the GitHub itself and Bitbucket. So for that purpose, storing and managing our code base, we can use the application serverless application repository itself, AWS. So these are the compute resources, okay, from AWS. So we will study about one by one in details. Okay, so in order to understand the major AWS services in some in detail way, okay, I have already created a separate playlist that is AWS services introduction. That link is given below, and I will put the description in the link in the description of this video also, that you can go through, where we have talked these major services in detail itself, right? So you can go through this playlist. I will put the link in the description box. Okay. So let's talk about these services itself. Few more focus on this. So EKS, that is Elastic Kubernetes Service, that is used to manage the containerized applications. If we are developing application in the container-based applications we are going to develop, then that is running locally. And if you want to move that application directly on the AWS cloud, then Amazon EKS offers us the complete management service to managing your containers, okay, and containerized applications itself, okay. So and EKS also provides a very scalable environment, okay, a scalable environment for hosting and deploying the container-based applications and services itself, okay. So it creates the cluster, and within the cluster, all the containers can be configured, okay, for our application, which is based on container itself. Amazon Lightstall, that is as we discussed, that is a pre-configured server itself, virtual private server, where some kind of required dependency for running the application is already configured. Like as we discussed, for if we are developing any WordPress site, then we need a VPS server where all the dependency of WordPress to run the WordPress application will be already installed. Okay, so we don't have we need to worry about the manually configuring all those dependencies itself on the VPS server. So Lightsail is that kind of service which provides the pre-configured server provisioning itself. Fully managed batch processing. If we have kind of requirement where we don't require any UI, but we have certain jobs like that we need to run on some scheduled timely basis, right? Like monthly payroll processing, monthly sales report preparation, and sharing with the stakeholders itself. Okay, processing and optimizing different various kind of unstructured data, okay, or the sales data, and preparing some different kind of insights on that. Okay, so for that kind of batch processing, okay, AWS batch job is being used. Okay, that is also used for the machine learning and simulations and analytics workloads itself. Okay, so we are not going to configure a complete server for that. Okay, instead with AWS batch service, it's a kind of program that we will configure and write some script on console itself. Okay, and our job will be scheduled. Okay, and AWS batch automatically provisions you make the use of resources what is best for our workload in the background itself. Okay, and that is also paper use based on pay per use model itself, that during the period and the time our application the workload is running, and the resources are being consumed for those period and time itself, the AWS is going to charge us. Okay, so AWS batch is used for the batch processing only. So these three services we were about to discuss: Amazon EKS, that is for the Kubernetes service; Lightsail for the virtual private server, pre-configured virtual private server; AWS batch for the batch processing and the scheduled job. Okay, and that is in the which the those kind of jobs which don't require any UI, but those jobs runs in the background. Okay, on some periodic basis. Okay, so that was it for today's video. I hope you like the videos. If you find the videos informative, please like the videos and channel subscribe to my channel, so you will get automatically notified for all upcoming videos from my channel itself. Okay, and that is also to for motivating us for creating more such interesting videos for the community and for my developer friends. Okay, and yeah, please let's look forward to see you on next video for upcoming sessions itself. Thank you very much for watching the video.